What's up, you guys? This is Felicia here, your Ballin' and Bipolar Success Coach, on another podcast episode for you. I'm so excited to be here. Today, we're going to talk about this conference I went to in Scottsdale, Arizona, Powerhouse Women. Go look up Lindsay Schwartz. So she has a podcast as well. Lindsay Schwartz, the Powerhouse Women podcast, I think is what it's called. She does these awesome events. Okay, so I've got to tell you guys. My dream before this conference was to be a paid speaker. Okay, I want to be on stage. Like, that's my thing. I want to do this podcast and have an awesome following and blah, 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 blah. When I went to this conference, I saw this chick, Lindsay Schwartz, walk in because it's her business and they put on this big event. She has panels of women come to her event. She has speakers come to her event. She's like the host. She speaks to, and then she has a business, a mentoring business, on the backside of that. Like, that's what she does, plus a podcast. And I was like, holy shit. My own ante just went up. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want Ballin' and Bipolar to be an extravaganza event every year. I want people to be like, oh my God, did you go to the Ballin' and Bipolar event? They had so many good speakers. Felicia was killing it. Da, 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 da. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to just be a paid speaker. I want to have my own freaking speaking event. So anyway, that's what's so cool about going to these conferences, because you just get so much. You don't just get the clarity that you're looking for, but you get things that you didn't even know you wanted, or help with things you didn't even know you wanted help with, so it was really cool. And that's what I want to talk to you about on this podcast. So remember, if you're new to my community, go to Amazon, look up Be Happy or Get the F Out. That is my book. You can download it on Kindle or order the physical copy. It's a really awesome book. You can follow me on any socials you want to for any kind of just shorter content. But today, the topic of conversation is going to be what I wanted to get out of this specific women's conference and why I went. And I wear my heart on my sleeve. I am not scared to tell you guys. My current state of affairs right now is I live at my parents' house. I moved home a couple years ago because I got into some debt. I didn't have a good paying job. And I was like, I'm just living to pay rent. Like, this sucks. And so my friend was like, what? You need to move home. You get along with your parents. You see your nephew all the time anyway. And so that's what I did about 2.5 years ago. And then it was funny because right after I moved in, I got a sales job and now I'm making 6 figures, but now I have bigger goals. I want to buy property, blah, 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 blah. Well, right now, what has happened is I have started this business. And I have gotten into some debt, and I will throw out the number for you. I am in $30,000 in debt right now, sitting here today. And that is a scary number. And the reason that I got into debt was for 2 reasons. I was keeping up with my business investments because I've got a marketing agency I work with. The book that I wrote, I was paying a company for that, and I was keeping up with that. Here's what screwed me: taxes. I did not understand how taxes worked, you guys. And it sucked because the thing they don't teach you is like how to live, right? So, because I was used to W-2, a little job where they take out taxes, blah, blah, blah. And when I got this job, like I'm an independent contractor. So what I was supposed to do was save 30% of every single dollar that I brought in. And of course, the first year I didn't do that because I started making really good money. I started spending really good money. But then the next year I thought, this is how I thought taxes work. And you're going to make fun of me if you're going to make fun of me. So my friend does all the time. But if you don't know, how are you supposed to know if nobody freaking tells you this stuff? I thought the way it worked was because when you have a business or when you're in an independent contractor position, like a 1099, you have write-offs. So anything business related, that means sales coaching programs that I did, work events, anything like that is a write-off. So I thought, okay, so I'm going to owe $40,000 in taxes, but I have $40,000 of write-offs. So therefore, I'm not going to owe any taxes because I thought it was just a wash. So when taxes came up again, I was terribly surprised by how wrong I was. Because what it does is, yeah, I might have $40,000 of write-offs. That just means that you're taxed on the income that you actually claim that you make after the write-offs. So I still owed 30% of taxes, but I just didn't owe as much. So I still left owing $15,000 and of course didn't have $15,000. So instead of setting up a payment plan with all kinds of interest and owing the freaking IRS that nobody wants to do. I put it on a credit card and joined Jeremy Miner's sales coaching program, which is not inexpensive because I have to be in sales coaching and whatever. And it, within, I'm talking about a week, it just skyrocketed. And so here we are. And so that is my biggest pain point in my life right now is Felicia is in some hella debt. And so that is the scary part in my world right now. And I'm trying to take advice from women um, who have been there before and can walk me through this. Because if you live in scarcity, it will overcome you with stress every day and you'll stay in debt. You will stay in debt. You'll stay in credit card debt because you live in that world. You live in that mindset of like, I'm in debt, I'm in debt, I'm in debt, scarcity, scarcity. And I've listened to Rachel Hollis's podcast a lot on this. And because there was a time where maybe she wasn't in debt, but maybe her business wasn't making a lot of profit. And she was like, I kept living in scarcity. I would go to sleep, wake up all day thinking about the lack of money or the lack of profit. And we stayed in a lack of profitability. And she changed her mindset into abundance. It is all going to work out. And I swear, you guys, when I do my manifestations in the morning, this is what I say. I say, I am thankful. I am grateful for the opportunity to be in debt because I am building a business. And that's how I look at it. It is all going to work out and I'm going to get through it. And I'm going to tell myself, I will never let this happen again. Because I'll tell you too, my dad has been, my poor dad, he's been grinding away in the car business his whole life. And we lived in credit card debt for years, and he would get out of it and then get back in it and then get back. So that was the life I knew. And I feel like, it's almost like when your mom has been abused, you get in an abusive relationship. When my dad has lived in credit card debt, that was the normal thing. So what did I do? It's like in your blood. And so I have got to change that. And that's a fear I have is I cannot be my dad in that aspect. I love my dad. That's the personality I have and he's amazing. But that's his problem in his life is spending money. And he always says, I make $1 and spend 2. And I do not, I need to make $1 and spend 10 cents. Okay. So that's what it's like, live below your means so that you can live your life. And that's what I have to get to. So get back to the conference. The reason I went to this conference was because number one, I wanted to be around successful business women and entrepreneurs who are where I want to be or who are working to do what I want to do as well. So you want to be with like-minded individuals and you also want to be around people who are where you want to be so you can look up to them and implement what they've done. But there's 2 things that I wanted to get out of this conference. And I went with my friend Olivia and I have a story about that for you too. My friend Olivia, she's in sales herself and she's working on her business outside of sales. So we have a lot of similarities. Personality wise though, Olivia and I are very different. We're both planners. We're both pretty A-type. But even on that spectrum, I am like, it's all going to work out. And Olivia is very logistics driven. Like, oh my gosh, da, 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 da. So I went with her because I thought it was a good fit. And it was. It was a great trip. But through the conference, I wanted to get 2 things. I wanted to be around women in business and just learn whatever. I didn't know what I wanted to learn, but I wanted to be in that ecosystem. But the main thing that I wanted to get out of that conference was I needed to talk to a woman who had been in debt, gotten out of it, and stayed out of it, but let me know it's not the end of the world. Because if you believe, again, you guys, I just said this on another podcast, and I think it'll publish before this one. But if you believe that you are alone, like you're the only idiot, and you are alone, and you're the only one that suffers from this specific problem or whatever problem you are having, it becomes very overwhelming. And you feel like you're never going to be able to get out of it because you're the only idiot that's done this, or you're the only one that's going through this. And that's just not the case. It is not the case. She actually did, Lindsay Schwartz, she had an envelope sitting on everybody's seat when we got there. And she was like, don't open it until you're prompted to open this envelope. And on the envelope, and they had pins too. There was like 10 different things on there. And it was like, every woman in this room, check this box if you have felt this way this past 12 months. And there were things like, have I experienced mom guilt? Have I felt like I am alone in my challenges? Have I felt less than? Have I felt like I don't belong in this room? Have I had body image issues? Have I felt imposter syndrome? Have I felt, and all these really debilitating thoughts and mindsets that humans can have, and you think you're the only one that has it. And then what she did, and this was anonymous, you didn't write your name on it. We switched the envelopes up throughout the whole room. And then we looked at the envelopes, and this would have been from somebody across the conference. And she said, everybody stand up who has imposter syndrome checked. Everybody stand up who has had, I feel alone, or I feel like I don't belong in this room, or I have mom guilt and all this kind of stuff. And people just started standing up, just, hundreds of people standing up. And it was to show us, and I'm getting chills thinking about it, and people were crying. Listen to how powerful this was, though. That's how freaking awesome Lindsay Schwartz is, and whoever helps her produce this conference. People were crying because it was real questions that bring up a lot of emotion, and I could start crying about it right now, just thinking about that. But it was to show the women in this room that they are not the only ones that feel less than. They are not the only ones that have been in abusive relationships. They are not the only ones that have mom guilt. They are not the only ones that feel that they have body image issues and that they hate themselves or they hate what they look like. I mean, it was so powerful to stand with women, and every woman there was awesome. They were there for the same reason I was, and I felt like I was less than, of course. I felt like I was the only idiot. Oh, and one of the questions on there was, have you experienced financial difficulty? And I hella checked that box. But when I stood up for that, or when everybody stood up for that, hundreds of people, financial instability or fears about finances and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, girl, you're not alone. Well, throughout this conference, the first half of it, I was like, okay, whatever. She had an entire panel, and I didn't even know that this was going to be part of the conference. She had an entire panel in a section of this. It was probably 45 minutes long. It was 5 different women talking about debt and finances. And I felt as though they were speaking directly to me, and that's exactly what I needed to hear. And then what happened was I sat directly behind, and this was, I think, about 800 people were there. I sat directly behind this lady, and I'm talking about in the last hour of this conference. It was from like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. At 5 o'clock, we had like a break, and there was a new woman coming out on stage. And I had just started talking to her, and I was like, I came to this conference ultimately because I need somebody to tell me. And I told her straight up, I was like, I'm in $30,000 of debt. And I just need somebody to tell me, like, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. And she said, Felicia, and listen, you guys, this is Felicia talking to you back on the podcast. I am 35 years old right now. This woman said, and she was older, maybe in her 40s. And she said, when I was 34 years old, I was $30,000 in debt. I got out of it. You can too. And you just make a decision that you don't do it again. And now you know. And now you can look forward to when you're going to be out of debt. And it's an opportunity, because that's going to be one hell of a moment when you do get out of that debt, and you're going to be so damn proud of yourself. And she said, it's not the end of the world. It's freaking debt. Money is money. She was like, but you live in a world where it's all going to work out. And I was like, thank you for that. And it just helped me breathe easier, knowing that I had somebody to tell me that. And that's exactly what I needed to hear. And not only that, but she was my same age and the same amount of debt that I was in. And she's a coach now, living her best life. It's freaking wild. It is wild what you can get out of the universe when you ask for it. Remember the red car theory we talked about? I knew what my red car was that day, and I needed to look for the red car, because if I didn't even know what the problem was, I would have never talked to that lady and never got that answer. But I talked to her because I knew I was looking for a specific thing, and I asked the universe for it. And not only did I talk to the right person, but they had a whole freaking panel about it. And then what I got from it was the last speaker. If you look up It Cosmetics, It Cosmetics, the CEO now of that company, she was the owner, the founder, It's now been bought out, by the way, by L'Oreal for like $1.2 billion. She's a freaking billionaire. But in the beginning, so this was the keynote speech. She was talking about this journey, and you can go look her up because her story is freaking crazy. She came up with this idea that this cosmetics line was what she wanted to do. It was her dream, and she felt in her gut. She said, I had an internal knowing that this was going to work. You guys, for years, she tried to pitch to places like Sephora and Ulta and all these makeup, like companies to get them to buy this product and sell this product on their shelves. And then she had a website and she was trying to sell, to the consumers, direct to consumer, and she would get like a couple sales a day. I'm talking about this went on for years. She said, me and my husband had to go all in multiple times. We thought multiple times, this is it, and would get told no. She got told no hundreds of times by huge companies, by small companies. She wasn't making any money. And they had their last $1,000. They thought that it was either they were going to make it work or they were going to go bankrupt and have to close everything down. And she was like, no, like I feel in my gut that this is right. I feel that this is going to work. She said one more story. She said QVC, where they sell on TV. They've been around forever. She felt that she was finally going to be told yes. She goes in, she nails her pitch, everything goes really well. And the guy tells her, you are not, your body is not what we're looking for. This isn't what got told no again. And then what happened was months later, she gets a call from QVC. They have her on and they're like, not only, yeah, you can come on our show and you can try to sell this, but within, I don't know exactly what time it was, but she had about 10 minutes or 7 minutes to like pitch and sell like through the TV for these people. And they said within the first minute or two, we're going to turn you off if you don't start making sales in that first minute or two. You guys, she started talking about it. She was real. She came in and was talking to these women, these real women, because they wanted her to look perfect. And they were like, you aren't your image and your body is not what we're looking for. That's not going to sell, blah, blah, blah. And finally, she came on looking normal, looking like a real woman. She starts talking, and they said within like 1 minute, one specific product line was completely sold out. She sold out everything, and then it just blew up from there. And she said, never listen to the no's, listen to your internal knowing. Now there's caveats to that, of course. If if you're trying something and it's not working out, you don't have a good feeling about it, maybe this isn't the right path, sure. But what I'm saying is if you have a gut feeling that this is it, what lights your fire, what direction you want to go in, it does not matter what anybody says around you. You go in the direction, you talk to the right people, you talk to the people that are where you want to be, and you go freaking implement that. And it is wild what the universe will provide you if you ask for it. So I was talking about this, and somebody commented, I get, I'm so bad, and you guys might judge me for this, but I think it's like something from the Bible. It's like you ask and you shall receive. That's from the Bible, right? And you hear that all the time, like ask and you shall receive. And it's like, whatever, you don't even give it a thought. But holy shit, it is so true. Ask and you shall receive. Because if you ask the right questions to the right people, the world opens up. I could have gone, well, number one, I could have never gone to that conference and been stressed out about money and still living in the same cup of soup of bullshit and fear, doubt, worry, concern, scarcity. But I booked the conference because I knew a couple things. I knew I wanted to be around people that were where I want to be. And I knew somebody there could help me with my debt mindset and telling me it was going to be okay. And I got so much more than that. They had a whole freaking panel about it. I sat next to someone that told me exactly what I needed to hear and exactly in my same spot, and is doing the same business that I'm doing. It's just wild. So keep your eyes open and keep your ears open, keep your heart open, keep your mind open to what we can find in the universe and other people. Because again, you are not alone. There is somebody else that has struggled and been and walked down the path that you're on right now. We just have to find the right people to talk to, you guys. I'm going to end it there. I've got a call I got to get on. I hope you guys have a great day. Go ahead and look up my book. I'm going to have a workshop soon. I don't know if I said that already. It's going to be on September 25th. It's going to be bipolar. We're going to have Q&A. It's going to be awesome. Um, so check that out. I'll post a link here when we have one. But I wanted to leave you with this. I'm going to start saying this on my sign off. Of course, you keep trudging forward. If you're not balling yet, you can be, you will be. But tomorrow is a new day. It has never been touched. That is from a show called Modern Love on Amazon, season 1. And it is one of my favorite quotes of all time. It's in my book. Tomorrow, we all think tomorrow is just tomorrow. It's tomorrow. It's another day. It's another day. Same shit, different day. You know how people say that? Same shit, different day. But guess what? Tomorrow is a brand new day. It has never been touched. You never know what can happen tomorrow. Okay? There could be something not great that happens tomorrow that we're going to have to walk through, so be fucking prepared. But there could be something magical that happens tomorrow, so you better be prepared. I hope you guys have an awesome day. I'll see you out there.